And action!
Hey everybody, welcome to the Out About Podcast. I am Patrick, and you all know my co-host, Mr. Chili.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
Oh, what are we doing here? For those of you who don't know, the behind the scenes on that was priceless. Do you hear a dinging? Who's got their? Someone's got a volume turned wide up.
Yep. Who's got their volume up? It's coming through my headphones.
One moment.
Not me.
It was Patrick.
Oh, of course it was. Mr. Everyone has their ding-dings turned off.
Well, I tried it. It didn't ding-ding for me, so I guess it is now. But hey, everybody, welcome to the Outer Belt. Of course, we forgot to introduce the person who was supposed to keep me from having my volume turned all the way up. Our producer, the one, the only, my man, Jerry Bear. What's up, Jerry?
Hey, everybody.
That's all you got?
Hey, everyone.
Okay, we'll work on that. So, happy Father's Day to you, Vince. Happy Father's Day to everybody listening to us out there.
Well, thank you.
I hope you've had a wonderful day. Anything exciting happen?
Today, I got up this morning and vacuumed and did the dishes, and once Melissa was up and about, we cut the grass.
So that's a hard no.
Ran to Home Depot
Did you
for a new propane tank, and then realized that my propane tank wasn't actually empty. So I grilled some steaks.
Okay.
As you do.
As you do. But wait, you're barbecue champion of the world.
I was, yeah.
At one point.
I've retired
People
from that.
People don't know you. So why are you not cooking on hardwood? Isn't that the thing to do?
It is the thing to do, if that's your thing to do. Grilling steaks over gas works just fine for me.
I got you.
Yeah.
Ribeyes?
No, they're actually New York strips. They were on
Ooh.
sale at Costco
Go on.
for like $8 a pound.
Why? At what point? Because I missed it, but at what point did that become really interesting to me? Because it used to not be. Do you remember that time when like $8 New York strips, you're like, whatever.
Yeah, but when ribeyes are like $15,
They are.
you
I was
know,
gonna say, I
it's like, let me go ahead and get some $8 New York strips.
Well, it makes me wonder how places like Texas Roadhouse or Outback or someone like that is selling a ribeye for $15.
Well, they're buying commodity. They're not paying retail for their meat. They're buying in large quantities.
But isn't that the whole point of Costco?
Yeah, but I don't think I'm going to Costco and buying the same quantity that Texas Roadhouse is buying.
You don't think?
I'd like to. I'm looking at Melissa over my shoulder. I'd like to be able to, store that much beef in my fridge.
We'll just put like an 18 by 30 walk-in freezer in the back of your house.
There you go. Perfect.
I think you can buy it at Home Depot.
Let's do it.
Probably
Get that at Costco too.
I get that at Costco too. Yeah.
Can you just deliver the meat inside the freezer, please?
The freezer already
all
going.
In one, just one shot.
You get it. You find out it's got a carrier on it. You're like, oh man, I was really hoping for Thermo King. But yeah, that's a lot of fun. Well, let's take a moment real quick. Just welcome everybody here. If you are around or here, shout yourself out. I've got Billy Wartzinger, Donna Foreman, Janice Tremmel. Y'all are all hanging out. Looks like Dana Lord's here as well. Don Clute is saying Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day, Don. Oh, well,
Somebody just gave us a thumbs
I don't
down.
think that's from me.
You don't think that thumbs down is from you?
No, I don't. No, I don't care about thumbs down.
Oh, Happy Father's Day?
I'm saying the Father's Day is not for me. I don't have any.
I don't think it is either.
I think it was just okay.
We got Deanna Foreman in the house, not Donna.
What did I say?
Donna, you read over it so fast.
I am so sorry.
Yeah.
You know what?
Chicken butt.
This is why I don't read and let you read. So, cool. We had a major technical issue right up at the start of the hour, and I'm just
Raylene Marsh
completely
jumped in
throwing off
early.
my game. I apologize.
So, hey, Raylene Marsh, Gertrude Daniels is here with us as well. For some reason, I'm not seeing any of that stuff pop up, so thanks for the message.
Yeah, it's not popping up on mine either, but that's cool.
All right, we'll roll with it.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Awesome. Well, if you are commenting on any of the platforms, for some reason Vince and I can't see it, but it does look like, never fear, because we've got our two all important moderators.
Yes, we do.
The wonderful people in the house. This will be Mr. Eric and Ms. Melissa hanging out with us. They are scrolling through all the groups. They are sending us your thoughts, your questions, your peace of mind, anything that you might have to say. They're going to be scrolling through it. They're going to send it to us here in a second, and we're going to be able to see it. So even though we're having a little bit of technical difficulties, we still got it going on with their help. So real quickly, I wanted to tell you that I saw a very moving post on Western Star's Facebook.
Did you?
I did, and I thought it was worth mentioning because of all the posts I saw, it was very moving, and also the fact that it actually wasn't for Father's Day. It came out like 5 days ago.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I just thought like how perfect it was.
Yeah.
So I sent you the post. I know you saw the video.
I did watch the video.
For those of you who haven't seen it, go to Western Star Trucks, go to their Facebook post, look about 4 or 5 days ago, and you'll see it's a lady who is driving a truck, and she's talking about carrying on the family business, and her dad's there. I like what they did. She talked about like taking over the family business and why she wanted to stay in trucking and take over that business, and she made the comment of like, it's not about doing it for him, it's about carving my own path
Right.
and making my own business and such. And I just loved it. I thought that attitude was great. I know I don't come from a family business. I hopefully will have one to pass on to my family, but I don't have one that I come from.
Sure.
But if I did, I like the attitude of I'm going to take what you built and then make it my own and grow it and everything. I think that's a very healthy way to go into business. And so that really spoke to me. Plus, I just love it shows her as like a little kid, then learning to drive the truck.
Right.
And then it goes on to where he's driving his truck, and it's a beautiful Western Star 4900, long nose Western Star truck. And then right next to it is hers is a brand new 4900X
Yeah.
or 49X. And of course, it's a great marketing tool for
It is a good marketing tool.
for Western Star because they're showing like, hey, here's what we used to be, here's what we're turning
Right.
ourselves into, which I thought was cool. But also the empowering women, the thank you for fathers. There's just so much going on in a 31-second clip. I thought
Yeah.
it was really cool.
Where she's not following in her father's footsteps, but she's taking her own path in the same industry, in the same business, but she's not following along just what he's doing and watching his steps,
Exactly.
and just she's taking it a different place, a different level.
Yes.
So yeah, it's a good message for any kids, not just a daughter, but any kids to take that those lessons learned from parents or mentors and build on them and make it your own.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
think that's kind of the American dream is we take what we have and we build on it, we make it better, right?
Yep, that's exactly what we do.
So I thought it was fascinating. I really appreciated Western Star throwing that up, and I also it doesn't appear to be a actors talking about it from home. I really think these are the two people that did it.
It could very well be.
I mean, I'd like to know if you happen to know anything about it and you're like, yeah, they actually fooled you. Please let me know. Comment on the on this. We'd love to hear about it. But it just feels authentic. So
It did feel very authentic. Yes, it did.
all right,
She's rubbing in Dad's face, just like
it is.
like kids like to do.
Well, I thought about that too. She did say something sarcastic, and I don't remember what it was. And I was like, I don't know if I appreciate that. And then I thought about all the times I did that to my dad,
Of course,
and I was like, maybe that's
we all do that as kids,
normal.
right?
sure.
We all do that as kids.
Yeah, I just assume my dad did it to his, and it makes it a lot easier.
There you go.
Speaking of which, my dad's over in the back corner of the room listening to us. He and my sister came over to hang out with us. We don't have any cameras set up for it, unfortunately, but
They're over there.
they're over
over
there.
there.
They're
They're
hanging
over there.
out, and they're listening to everything. So I just occasionally I'll get a look from my dad. It's like, oh, sorry. But well, let me ask you, Father's Day aside, how has the rest of your weekend been, Jerry?
It's been good. We had a really good weekend. We all hung out Friday and Saturday.
We did. It was almost enough to get tired of each other.
Almost.
I
almost didn't come tonight.
last night when we were getting ready to say goodbye and everything, and Jerry was like, "Y'all can do this without me, right? You don't really need a producer." I was like, "Ooh, okay, well."
Yeah. Well, I thought it was funny how you asked what time we were getting together today to start prepping for the show, and no one answered.
Yes.
Like we all left without answering the question.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was a call out today of, hey, you guys showing up? We're 5 minutes to airtime and you're not here yet. What's going on?
Yeah. It was a long weekend.
It was.
We did
But fun.
a lot of fun. Good times hanging out. We all played hooky for work on Friday. Sorry, Melissa, you're not supposed to be here to listen to this. And so we all played hooky from work and went to Rickenbacker Airport.
We did.
And got
It's a good time.
to watch the first. I don't know if this first ever or they're bringing it
It's the
back.
first in a long time.
First in a long
apparently.
time, yeah. Air show, and it actually ended up being really good. So I have. Oh, now I'm scared
Uh-oh.
because I, to my knowledge, from what I can remember, I've never been to an air show, and I'm afraid Dad's going to be like, "What? We went to Air No More 74 back in
Right,
Baton
yeah.
Rouge or something," and I'm not going to recall it. But I've never been to an air show before. As much as I like flying, I've seen an air show ish. We were down in Florida one time, and I was with Dad for this. And the Blue Angels did a pop-up rehearsal thing out on Pensacola Beach, which they'll
Okay.
do occasionally.
Right.
Their Blue Angels are based out of Pensacola, Florida, at the Navy. I'm sorry, at the Navy.
Navy Air
Naval-
Station.
Yes, there, and that was really cool to see. But again, it was popped up, wasn't planned. There wasn't anybody advertising for it. They
Right.
just did it. That was the closest thing I've seen. Now I have been to a hot air balloon festival. I've been to a couple hot air balloon festivals. So, but that's not really.
Seems a little different. Like
It
they
seems.
go up and float away and
Yeah.
they're gone.
Yeah, or if you do a hot air balloon ride, they're like tethered to the ground with a rope. So you get in it, you go up 100 feet, and you come right back down
Huh.
slowly.
Yeah, but
But
it seems like a waste.
yeah, I'm really torn about it because I've always thought like they do those hot air balloon rides like out in New Mexico where you go over a canyon or see
Right,
some landscape or out kind of where you used to be from, or where you're from, both in I think in Oregon and also in California. They do the hot air balloon rides over the vineyards and stuff.
Right. Yeah, they do. Yeah.
So I always thought like that might be cool too, although I don't really know what you're looking at. It's not like you can see grapes from 200 feet in the air.
I think a part of it is the view, but I think I romanticize hot air balloons.
Yeah.
You go up, it's quiet. You're up in the wind, just letting the wind take you wherever you're going.
Until they use that burner, which
right,
you can hear from
exactly.
outer space.
Yeah. That kind of kills it a little
That
bit.
propane
the
torch.
silence, but it's just you're going with the wind. You don't have a flight plan
Yeah.
recorded, filed rather, with anybody. You just kind of where the wind takes you is where you go and where you land. I mean, yes, I'm sure they have some sort of control and they have an idea of where they're going because they can forecast the wind and see where the wind is.
Yeah.
But you're just up there going, just floating in the wind.
It does. Sorry, Jerry. I felt like I was going to
Oh,
cut you
no,
off.
I was just going to say, I don't think I could do it. Hot air balloon, no, that's not for me. Too much up in the air. Just too much.
okay.
Too much up in the air?
Yeah. Too much uncertainty. That's not for me. Airplanes, yes.
What about skydiving?
Uh-uh.
Yeah, I'm right there with you with skydiving.
Oh,
I'll
see, I want
pass.
to do
No,
I want to
I'll
do
pass.
skydiving. I know Kelly wants to do it, and I would like to do it. So, I just don't think we should do it at the same time. I think there's a risk analysis that
There
our
is,
insurance
yeah.
company would have us run that would say we can't. But
We certainly need a designated survivor to stay back somewhere
right.
on the ground.
but I think it would be fun. I had a friend of mine who was a skydiver. Sad story. He died skydiving. But I would say that it's very safe. So let me explain.
Okay.
He was doing this race. You've probably seen it on like ESPN 19. Where
My favorite ESPN, by the way.
love ESPN 19.
they're the best.
It's so good.
Yeah.
You ever see ESPN 20? It's 19, but like collegiate.
Right.
19's
It's the
pro.
amateurs
It is, yes.
version of 19. Yeah.
So he jumps out of an airplane, and he would deploy his parachute. It wasn't the round chute. It was the one that was like
The rectangular,
one,
Yeah.
so he had directional control.
Okay.
He would then tip the parachute sideways to where the middle of the parachute was basically not really moving. It was just turning around, and his body was flinging around in circles.
Wow.
He would build up a tremendous amount of speed doing that, as you can imagine. And then the last second before they hit the ground, he would straighten it up, and he would glide across the ground. His feet had to be within like 12 or 15 foot
Oh, wow.
of the ground. And
Feet
they had
or inches?
feet, and they
Okay.
had two poles, and if your feet went across it, if under the threshold, then it was how far can you glide before you land. and that was
Wow.
the competition. And he was really, really good at it. And he would say like he wouldn't go riding an airplane or regular skydiving because it was boring. He had to have something
He had
like
to
this.
have something, a rush.
Yeah, to thrill him.
Wow.
And unfortunately, he had a heart attack in the middle of doing one of his jumps.
Wow.
And so it did not end well for him. But just jumping out of a plane, everything he's told me, it's just as safe as flying.
Sure, I believe that it's safe. I just, my fear is not of crashing. It's I don't care for that unknown, that thrill, that adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
I just don't care for that.
But
and you've seen how I move. I move at a snail's pace.
yes.
You know.
Well, you also
I
don't like
live on
roller
island
coasters.
time. I don't like roller coasters.
And I love roller coasters.
Yeah, I mean,
And
I'm happy to go
love
fast in a
roller
car.
coasters.
If I'm in control, I'm happy to go fast. If I'm not in control, thanks, I'll pass.
Yeah, but I find the faster you go, the more out of control you are, and people don't quite realize that.
But I can control the speed that I'm going.
True.
Right?
True.
I can do it at my pace.
How do you feel about bumper cars?
Bumper cars are fabulous.
Love bumper
Love 'em.
cars. Oh man,
Love
when you
'em.
hit someone and you watch their neck snap
Oh
back.
yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
it's great.
You hear that crack?
Oh yeah.
Oh no, that's not.
They weren't
bumper cars. That
expecting
was
it.
Something else.
Oh what?
No.
Anyways.
So Dana Lord had a question for you.
All right.
He wants to know of the good eats places down around LSU, the Louisiana State University.
Good eats places in Louisiana that you can park at. Tricky. So I always recommend people go to there's 3 big restaurants that I promote down there.
Okay,
There's other good ones. So if
Right.
you find another one, certainly
give it a shot.
give it a shot.
Yeah.
But my favorite 3, the easiest one is actually a chain that's kind of coming all across America. So you don't even have to be in Louisiana anymore to go there.
Cracker Barrel.
Cracker Barrel.
Yeah, I heard
Great. The
good stuff about
Cajun
them.
food at a Cracker Barrel.
my
Oh,
goodness.
man.
Yeah, the one in Oregon had amazing etouffee.
I bet.
Yeah, just awesome.
Did you ever have a cup of their gumbo?
No,
oh,
I didn't.
Man,
I didn't.
It was.
Set your guts on fire right here.
It was something. No, but Walk-Ons, WALK-ONS, Walk-Ons is a restaurant that I love. They were actually, their headquarters is about a mile away from
Okay.
where I used to live. They are a couple guys who walked on to the basketball team at LSU. That's where they get the name from.
Right.
Remain buddies and started a restaurant. They actually jotted down the floor plan for the restaurant on a napkin. So when you go to the restaurant, on their little drink napkins, it
Yeah.
actually has the
The actual floor
sketch,
plan.
the original sketch
Nice.
of
That's cool.
it on every napkin. And so it's a real neat story because it's not, there's a lot of like brands, Landry's is big on this, that and there's a couple other companies that do it as well, where they like make up a story to base their brand on.
Right.
It's not really authentic, but it's fun. We go with it.
Sure.
The Rainforest Cafe's blast, but they really didn't start a cafe in the rainforest.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Of course.
Like, so, but this place, it's legit. It's actually how they started it. It's a couple dudes that wanted to start a restaurant bar, and that's what they did. Their original restaurant is, it's much larger than their other ones. They have a stage over the bar.
Okay.
Back when I was doing sound in Louisiana, I did a lot of my events over there with them. There's a bunch of locations for them because they have grown to be such a large company. So you can usually find parking at one of their locations pretty easily. And now they have them all the way down in Orlando. They have them like in Kansas has them now and stuff. So
Wow. So
you
they're
can
going
find 'em.
nationwide.
yes, they are.
Nice.
You can find them all across. The big thing is colleges, so that in a lot of college towns. But I recommend them. Really good food and easy to get to. Now, if you want not chain, there's a chain in Louisiana. Okay, so let me. The chain is it's like 2 or 3 restaurants, right? So it's a small chain.
Okay.
The place is called Sammy's, SAMMY', Sammy's in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. They are outstanding, and their story is another one that I love. Sammy owned the restaurant, and a couple of years ago, well, probably a decade ago now, had a small issue with taxes or something. I don't want to get into it,
Got to pay your
but
taxes.
yeah. And so he lost the restaurants because they were such a popular restaurant and their food was so good. The property owner that owned all of his land that he had the restaurants on, just turned into a restaurateur and kept everything. Didn't change a thing.
Everything's
kept
there.
all the recipes,
Yeah.
kept the branding, everything, kept the employees.
Wow.
Pretty darn seamless. They may have they may have had one location shut down, but the rest of them are still open. And really good food. There's not a single healthy, redeeming thing on the menu, so do not expect that. The salads somehow have 5,000 calories.
Of course.
But it's really good food. And what I like about them is in the middle of crawfish season, which we're kind of in right now, you can actually get boiled crawfish. So if you actually want to go through, get boiled crawfish, rip them up and eat them and everything with the potatoes and the corn and all that.
Sammy's is a place for that.
Sammy's is the place for that. You can get that right now, I believe. And the other place is Chimes. So the Chimes is a restaurant that also by LSU, been there forever. I don't remember a time when Chimes wasn't there. They're in front of an old theater. The theater is been there since like the 20s.
Like a movie theater?
It's a movie theater that has turned into a kind of a concert hall.
Okay.
And what's really fun about it is that's the place to go do the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah.
And so they act it out. They have it playing on the screen. Everybody brings their accoutrements.
Right. Midnight on a Friday night.
Yes. And there's a season for it. Like they only do it in the fall or something for around Halloween. But that restaurant's impossible to get to. So thank God they opened up Chimes East.
Oh, great.
Chimes East is not just what's left over in front of the store, in front of the movie theater, the space left. This is actually a huge place.
Okay.
2 stories, dining on both floors, quite large. You will not be able to get a truck in the parking lot. It is always packed, always. I don't know how. Somehow they are, but they are always packed. But there is a Home Depot right around the corner from them. So if you don't mind a 5 to 10 minute walk,
right,
you can park at the Home Depot, walk over to Chimes East.
Which after eating there probably is a good idea.
It's probably a very healthy idea.
Good.
Yeah. And it's great food. You're not going to get boiled crawfish there, but they have an amazing charred broiled oyster bar, and of course fresh oysters as well. And their etouffee, their catfish, like all that good Louisiana Southern cooking is really, really good. So that's a place that I recommend. Those are kind of the 3 main places I recommend go. There's some others. For
Dana in Baton Rouge near LSU.
Absolutely.
So
there are some other places. Paran's is really good. Mike Anderson's is really good. Drusilla Seafood's really good. Paran's is almost impossible to get to. They only have 1 location. And then the other 2 places, Mike Anderson's and Drusilla Seafood, are kind of dress-up restaurants. You know, wear slacks and a button-up, and that's not usually very practical for truckers.
Not usually.
So I don't really push those 2, but they are a couple that we go to when we're in town.
Well, since we're in the food podcast mode right now, let's stay on it for just a couple minutes. Janice Trammell was asking about a place that you recommended to her in Slidell. And he's drawing a blank, ladies and gentlemen.
It was New Orleans Hamburger and Seafood right across the street from the TA. That location is no longer there.
Oh, sorry, Janice.
Yes. New Orleans Hamburger and Seafood is exactly what it sounds like. They sell hamburgers
and
seafood. Their fried catfish was outstanding. I mean, outstanding. People would be outstanding waiting on it.
On the catfish.
Yes.
Wow.
It was.
Wow.
No, it was. It was. It actually. Catfish. I don't know. Are you a fried catfish person?
I love fried catfish.
Okay, thin or chunky?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Every now and again, I want some of the chunkier stuff and more meaty.
Yeah.
Sometimes you want the thin that's a little more crispy.
Yeah. So New Orleans style is really thin. Alabama style, because in Mississippi they all do catfish.
Different catfish too.
They do thicker style catfish. You know, you got a little more meat on the bone, so to speak. My mom, I don't know about my dad. Maybe he can nod if he can tell us one way or the other. But my mom liked a thicker portion of catfish, not the really thin pieces. Are you the same way, or did you? Yeah, my dad's shaking his head. He likes those too. I kind of like the New Orleans better, a little thinner.
Okay.
Pieces, they're easier to dip in tartar sauce and such. But
they're not falling apart in the sauce.
Exactly.
Yeah, gotcha.
So what I love about New Orleans Hamburger Seafood, and they still have places open in they sell places open in New Orleans for that. The New Orleans Hamburger Seafood sells their New Orleans occasions. They just don't have their Slidell one anymore.
Right.
And they had both on the menu. So you could get either your thin catfish or you could get your chunky's not the right word. I can't think of it. Thicker cut.
Okay.
Catfish.
Right.
So that was really cool. You get both. Their chicken Alfredo is really, really good. Everything's made from scratch. And their what was the other thing I liked from them? Their gumbo and their red beans and rice, which were only on Mondays. Red beans and rice was Mondays only, and then they had something else, but I don't remember what it was. Anyways, great restaurant. You got to be in New Orleans, and my only caveat to that is if you're in New Orleans, there's better places to go. So it's yeah,
So many choices in New Orleans.
so many choices in New Orleans, but that's a place you park the truck and you gotta Uber or
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yep. Definitely.
yeah. So if you want to know more about Louisiana cuisine, you check out our podcast. We'll be starting called the Vince and Patrick do Louisiana cuisine. No, I'm kidding. That would be funny. But no, we're not going to do that. Dana Lord said we could use the walk. Thanks for the suggestions. Listen, right now I could use the walk too. Like from here. Like I could use the walk from here to Louisiana. Anyways, we had a fun article that I wanted to bring up that, Vince, you shared with me about a gentleman out of Ireland.
Yes. The Irish lad who...
he had... I think you should read it directly from the
Okay.
article.
Yeah,
He was
I will do that.
basically he had just
do
let me
that.
set the scene. He just backed up to his truck to the loading dock, and he hadn't gotten in yet. And when something arose,
72-year-old trucker Rick Reardon was at a job when he was hit by a bout of, quote, urgent diarrhea, end quote. The driver, who was at a client's facility at the time, ended up defecating in the loading bay and did not notify anyone about it. Yeah. He lost his job.
yes,
He did lose his job for doing that. And then and he's now suing his employer for age discrimination,
yes,
saying they're discriminating against him for his age. They wanted to get rid of him and put a younger driver in his truck.
he was 72.
He was 72. He probably still is, or 73. But he is suing his employer for that termination.
Which, that's one of those things that's tricky because I do believe if you do that, you at least need to have a conversation.
You do.
You need to have a, and if it's, I get the shame of it, but wouldn't you want to tell someone so you don't? I don't know. That's a tough one. Jerry?
I don't know.
It's just so extra.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, the worst part is that, I don't know if it's the worst part, but additional grounds for termination apparently is that the company maintains that the consistency of the stool was not consistent with diarrhea.
Yes. I did read that as well.
Yeah.
So,
But what do you do? What do you do when you gotta go and the shipper, the consignee, isn't allowing you into their facility to use the facility? What do you do?
it's a brutally tough one.
It is.
I don't know the answer. I do think if there were ever a situation where that occurred, I believe I would want, and I got my guard dog down here. She's so cute.
Yeah,
I
she's
believe I would want to offer to clean it up, at least report it so that people knew, hey,
Right.
we need to clean this up.
Yeah.
Something.
Something.
Because I don't want to be the driver behind you and open up my door and step out of
step
my
right in
cab
it.
and step
Yeah,
right into it or
exactly.
something. So I do think Melissa just texted in. She said trash bags, grocery bags. I think it's a great idea, right?
Oh yeah.
Or what Eric and I did, even back when we ran a factory sleeper truck, is we had a porta potty on the truck. Now I get that's not feasible for everyone,
It's not.
and there's a lot of people that don't like that idea either. So what do you do? For me, I would rather protect myself. That's why we always had that as an option. Now we had a
Sure.
rule you didn't do that in the porta potty,
Right.
but I can think of one time we were out in Utah and I got very sick and had no choice.
Sometimes you don't have a choice.
So, but that's tough. When you're on it, I think you got to report it. You got to say
You
it.
gotta
It
say
sucks.
something.
It's not,
No.
I'm not happy about it. I wouldn't want to report it either. But,
I
you
think
know,
we all-
sometimes you make mistakes, or it's not even a mistake.
No, I think we all have those moments where it just hits you.
Yes.
It just hits you. You know, Melissa and I would use small trash bags in the porta potty for that. We didn't want. I didn't want to have to clean it up because I'm the one cleaning it up. So when we had a moment where we had to do a number two, we would use a small trash bag in the porta potty.
Yeah.
We try and get ourselves to a rest area or a truck stop, but when you're out there in the middle of nowhere, that trash bag and tag it.
So this actually rolls into an article that I actually published on the website. If you're not checking out our website, make sure you go on there, hyfieldtrucking.com. We do have a blog that we are posting on there now, but there's actually a bill that has been introduced into the House at this moment called the Trucker Bathroom Access Act that actually mandates that all shippers and receivers provide a restroom for all truck drivers.
I saw that article. That was interesting.
I heard about that. I did not see that article, but I did see it come across my Facebook feed a while back. And I am very curious how that's going to go, because even if it's provided, what is the sanitary status of it? You know what I mean? But when you got to go, you got to go. That's not, I mean, I don't know. It's a really...
I tell you, whenever it hits, and if you really got to go, you hover. You do something. Like, as long as you've got a toilet to go in.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. And I have used restrooms like out at, I'm thinking of chemical plants or places where I've had to secure hold over a few days or a day or so when they had a porta potty and you go out there and it's gross, but you just do what you got to do. So, I mean, yeah, I guess there are options. What a weird subject for us to be talking about.
Very weird.
But I think it's unless there's more to the story than what we're seeing, I think it's a stretch to say, hey, they're discriminating based on age because this happened.
Yeah, and there certainly could be more behind the story that shows a history of something being done to this guy. It could be that situation where he's just grabbing for straws, trying to save his job. It could be any number of things that we don't know.
Yeah.
I think the only part that we're getting out of this is the humor of it all.
I think so,
at his expense.
It is sad that it's at his expense, but it is quite funny. I loved earlier we were describing this story. Talking about the story earlier, and was it Eric that walked in halfway through? He caught the tail end of that story, and then you were talking about one of your buddies and what he just retired his company, and Eric genuinely thought that he had retired his company and taken a dump in their loading dock. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, no, but that's funny, but no, that's not what happened. Anyways, Dana Lord said, work for a great fleet owner that provides a bathroom truck. I agree. We do that for their high-performing teams.
He said do.
This is the part where we turn into middle school boys. We hope you're ready for that. No, but it's... yes, I did the whole bathroom situation, truck parking situation and bathroom situation across the entire nation is out of control. It's not just shippers, but there's even a lot of places across the country where they have truck parking, and it's provided by the DOT, but there's either no bathroom out there or there is one porta potty for 100 trucks that show up
every day,
and
how often does it get that cleaned up?
Exactly. So that is definitely something that needs to be addressed around the country. I do like that it's starting to kind of be addressed, but it's not enough. It needs to be quite a bit more of that happening.
Yes, I agree. We need more attention to truck drivers and the bathroom parking situation out there. We really do.
Absolutely. Oh, real quick, we got two things we need to discuss. Let's do it quickly. One thing is we are contractually obligated to the sponsor of the show to discuss the airplane of the week.
We are. We truly are.
For those of you that can see it, I'm going to move it just a hair closer. Tell me if that's good. Okay, I'm going to go with a nod. It is. So you're looking at a United Express Embraer 175. And I picked this particular plane. I'll tell you. Let me describe the plane a little more. Small plane. You've definitely probably flown on one if you've ever flown out of a medium-sized airport to a decent-sized one. We fly them out of Columbus to Detroit all the time. Medium-sized airplane, seats 75, less than 100 people, 2 engines on the wings, nothing on the tail. Kind of a sleek-looking little plane. They're comfortable. They're decent. I like them. A lot bigger than the CRJs. But this airplane in particular is my Father's Day show pick of the month because I was on this airplane with my dad and my mom and Eric, and the plane lost air pressure. We were
Really?
flying from Houston, Texas to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and we made it up to 30,000 feet. Like we had just leveled off. And they were starting to push the carts down the aisle for the beverage service. And I mean, just in a heartbeat, the plane engines went dead silent, and we started nose pointed to the ground, and we went down 20,000 feet, went from 30,000 to 10,000 feet.
Wow.
In a matter of a few minutes.
A few minutes?
Yes.
Okay.
And which is...
Controlled?
Yes, it was controlled.
Okay.
But
All right.
there was no...
Still frightening.
There was no explanation of what's going on. And
Right.
you're at a steep pitch. You're not at a, like, a leisurely, we're coming to a land. I mean,
Right.
it is just like, if they'd have let go of the cart, it would have slammed into the captain's door.
Wow.
Cockpit door. So what I loved about this, or what, I thought, not loved, I genuinely thought I was going to die. Completely, genuinely thought it. And I kept reassuring myself, like, you're not going to die. There's lots of airports between Texas and Louisiana. So
Right.
best case or worst case, you're going to land at one of those airports.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because it sounded like we lost the engines. It went dead quiet. And so I look over and my mom and my dad are sitting there, and they're not saying a word. And Dad's gripping the seats. He was in the seat in front of me. They're gripping the seats. And I look over at Eric. He was sitting across the aisle from me. And he's got his laptop open, and he's finishing up settlements for the week. Completely oblivious that anything's going wrong. I mean, the flight attendants scurried to get everything put away. They've jumped in their seats. They got the 5-point harnesses
Right.
on. They're sweating. Everybody on the plane is like praying to whatever God they believe in. And Eric's over there with his laptop out, like, do 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 ching. I mean, it's like it was like I was like, Eric. He's like, what? He's like, I'm like, we're about to crash. Put your laptop up.
Because that's going to make a big difference with the laptop put away.
Right.
Yeah.
He did stop, and he like took a moment and looked around, and he was like, "You're right. This is odd." So he did. He put his laptop up, put it in his book sack, and we hit 10,000 feet. And as soon as we hit 10,000 feet, the engine spooled up, and we kept going. And that's when they came over the announcement, because in those kind of emergencies, I didn't know this at the time. They handle everything, and letting people in the back of the plane know what's going on is
Not
dead
a priority.
last.
Yeah.
That is dead
Not
last.
a priority.
And he said, came with the announcement, said we lost pressure. We can't fly at those high altitudes, but we've got more than enough fuel, and it's not really that big of a safety concern. We're going to go ahead and fly on to Baton Rouge
At 10,000 feet.
at 10,000 feet. Now, you fly a lot slower at 10,000 feet,
Okay.
so it took us an extra, 45 minutes to get
Wow.
home, which is a long time because it's only a 45-minute flight. It's
Right,
a real
so
short flight
double the
anyways,
time.
double the time. And then we landed, and we walked off the airplane, and myself, my dad, Eric, me, like, we didn't say a word. My mom, we didn't say a word. We got to where the luggage counter was, and we all went to the luggage, and my mom just walked straight outside. Melissa was there in the car to pick us up. She walked straight in, got in the car, closed the door, looked forward, and didn't say a word
Wow.
until we got back to her house. It was a kind of a devastating situation. But it was my first emergency, and it was a really unique experience. And then to have my dad there, and his problem was his sinuses were all jacked up because we had just been we were up in Seattle before this, and all of our doing outside stuff, and so pollen and all that. His sinuses were messed up, and when we lost that much air pressure, he was actually the whole time just in pain,
I bet.
just in complete
Wow.
pain because of it. Whereas Mom was frightened and I was frightened. So
And Eric was worried about getting settlements in on time.
yes, which we didn't have internet on the plane, so it's not like we could send and then be fine. But so that is the airplane of the week.
So I have a question for
go
you on
for it.
that. Did you get the air mask down with the decompression of the plane?
No, they only dropped that for rapid decompression.
Oh, I see.
And ours was not a rapid decompression. So they had I think what we heard was it was like a sealer on the cargo door wasn't shut all the way.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I've flown a million of these airplanes ever since. They're great. They're super reliable. Oh, to make things even better, when we got on this plane in Houston, the flight attendant even made a point to say, welcome to our brand new Embraer 17E175. And we used to have a pilot that worked, or not worked with us, but drove one of our trucks. And great guy. At 65 years old, you can no longer fly an airliner. It's just a FAA rule.
Right.
You can still fly private jet or cargo, but you can't fly passengers anymore. And so he came to come over here, and he drove one of our trucks for a while, and he was a super nice guy. And he said, "Hey, the worst airplanes were always the brand new ones." He said there was always a shakedown period on airplanes, and I'm like, I relate on trucks. Same way.
Oh, yeah.
People beg to have brand new trucks, and they get in brand new trucks, and they're like, "Why is it breaking down?" It's like, yeah, it's what a brand new truck does. That first 100,000 miles is a shakedown period.
Yes, it is.
So
yes, it is. Be prepared.
Yes.
Be prepared.
So that was the plan of the week. I would like if you could briefly go over the internet article we just found, because it came up a few weeks ago with people's PSPs and how do they check that, and how do you know if your PSP is reporting something bad against you or what have you. And we actually had an article that just came out that we read that I think our listeners will want to know about.
Yeah, so your PSP, PSP stands for, I just had it here. Pre-Employment Screening Program.
Yes.
PSP, Pre-Employment Screening Program. It is a program that's administered by the FMCSA. What it is, basically, it's kind of like a credit report for your driving record. Your PSP will show your 5-year record of collisions in a commercial vehicle and a 3-year record of roadside inspections. So you can get a copy. Employers pull your PSP when you're going in for a job. They want to see your history of inspections, whether your truck's been put out of service for a violation, how many violations you've had, that kind of thing. If there's a history or a pattern, it'll also show wrecks. It'll show details of those wrecks, not like a narrative of how it happened, but it will show where it happened, when it happened, road conditions, the results of that, fatalities, injuries, those types of things. So these are all things, again, that employers look at.
It also shows the motor carrier that
it does.
is
So the
operating
motor carrier also, yes.
So if you have a motor carrier pop up that you claim you didn't drive with, you need to investigate that.
So these are things that you can dispute to some degree if you find factual errors on your PSP. It does cost $10 if you want to pull a copy of your own PSP.
Yes.
That's with the FMCSA. What they're doing now, though, is allowing you, it looks like once you've pulled that original copy, they're allowing you to request notification of any changes to your PSP.
And it looks like it's automated too.
It's automated. It does appear to be automated. So they will email you once you sign up for it. Once you enroll in PSP monitoring, the way to do that is if you go to the FMCSA website and you find the PSP section and log in, go to the driver dashboard, then you can click on Enroll in PSP Monitoring. And then once you enroll, you will get an email when your PSP changes. So if a roadside inspection shows up on there, it will email you and let you know you had a roadside inspection. And if there's factual errors, you can challenge that.
Yes.
Accidents, again, you can challenge those as well. So why are we telling you about this? A PSP is a good thing to get pull on yourself. It's kind of like when you buy a house. Generally, you don't want to buy a house without knowing what your credit score is. Right. So you're going to pull your credit report so you can see what that looks like before you go and apply and have a hard inquiry on your credit report. You want to make sure all your ducks are in a row.
Correct.
PSP is the same way. When you're looking for a new job in the commercial driving industry, you might want to pull that PSP and take a look at it and see what it looks like and see if maybe there's something here that's not factual.
Especially if you've applied for a few places and you've gotten declined and you don't know why. Because a lot of places won't tell you why they're declining you.
They will not.
It's a great place to, let me just take a look at this and see what's going on. So it's a great place to go to. This new service, I think, is great. And the fact that the FMCSA is paying for it, so where it's not going to cost a driver anything to have this monitoring put in place. I don't see why we don't all.
Yeah, I think that $10 to pull a report initially is not that much. I think it's a very reasonable price to get that report pulled.
I agree, especially when you hold it in the context of everything we spent to get our CDLs in the first place.
Yeah.
So I do completely agree with that. I did get a question here from Dana Lord real quick. How is expedite freight trending now? Is it improving, maintaining, still struggling? So the one downside of expedite freight is we don't have market indicators on a large scale like general truckload does. So when we talk about trends, we generally follow. We actually don't follow truckload. We typically trend truckload. So when we look at what happened in truckload, that's already typically affected us. So when we evaluate how the freight market's looking, that's kind of what we go based on.
Sure.
So far over the last couple of months, we've been keeping an eye on it. It has maintained or dropped like 1% or 2%, which is negligible. I mean, we're talking about year over year, and we're 20-something% down.
Right.
1%'s not really a big deal. That like a 1% loss is still holding. Plus, we keep in mind seasonality. We're in June. We're coming into July. That spring peak is already kind of busted, and it's starting to hit its normal resting period. Because if you remember, in July it's always slow. All the automakers are going to go in. They're going to retool in July, so there's not going to be a lot of automotive freight. Instead, you'll see your shift will go to other things.
Right.
And then come August, we're out of July. It's usually a huge ramp up through the end of the year. So if you're coming on board in if you're coming on board in July, it's a great time because you can get moved in, meet your mentor, learn everything right before the stuff gets crazy busy. And if you're here now, then hold on. There's a reason Expo's in July.
Yep.
It's always the slowest month of the year. So just kind of be ready for it. It's not something that any of us are expecting to be crazy busy. Now, if it turns out to be crazy busy, hey, we'll take it. I'd be thrilled.
Yep.
But if you go back year over year over year, even over the past 3 years when freight was bananas, July was still the weakest month. Like that
It truly was.
It just trends. That's just how it is. So, we don't really see anything changing on that level yet. The real question is, what's fall going to do? And honestly, we're just not going to know until we get there. We haven't. It does feel like we're at the bottom. It doesn't feel like there's any more downward movement.
Right.
Because in general, the economy's not doing terrible. It's just slow. They're just burning off inventories, and once they burn through those inventories, they're going to re-add those. So the economy's not doing as great as it was, but it's also not doing bad. We're not in recession. No one's worried about how we're going to make our house payment. That hasn't happened. Thousands and thousands of people haven't been laid off their jobs. So it's a decent place to be. So that's kind of what I see. I think we're in a decent spot, and it'll be we'll be seeing where we go from here.
Yeah.
So
that's all we can do in this business, unfortunately.
It is all we can do.
So cyclical.
Julio Ramos says if people weren't meant to fly, we would have wings. I like flying, but I don't do it outside of an airplane. Well, it has been a fun show.
It has been a fun show.
I think we wrapped up all the questions. I don't see anything else on any of my messages. I appreciate everybody for coming and hanging out with us. Those of you that are listening to this on the podcast, you're a couple hours behind us, but happy Father's Day.
Happy
Everybody
Father's Day
that's
to everyone.
Yeah, right. It's on YouTube.
Yes.
Happy Father's Day. Thank you for hanging out with us. We know this is a pivotal day, and we were taking a gamble throwing it out today, but it's been fun. I'm glad we knocked it out. Jerry, what are we forgetting?
Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button, like button. Follow us on HyfieldTrucking.com if you're interested in joining us over here at Hyfield and joining the hashtag Hyfield family. You can also check us out on Facebook, of course, YouTube, and the Outer Belt Podcast on Instagram. And follow us on all of your favorite podcasting apps. We are on all of them, so you can find us on there and stream us whenever you're driving down the road.
I give us a like, throw a comment in any of your podcasting platforms.
Yeah.
Spread the word. Let people know we're out here. We really do appreciate it. You guys are the best. You're the reason we're here. If you are new and you want to come check us out face-to-face, Expedite Expo, Crossroads America Truck Show will be at July 21st, 22nd. It's right around the corner.
Coming up soon.
That's in Fort Wayne, Indiana. We're going to be sponsoring Casino Night. We're going to be having a wonderful time there. It's $16 to park a commercial truck, $8 a private vehicle, but the show itself is free. Go to expediteexpo.com, and you'll be able to register. Come meet us. Come see all the Hyfield family. Come talk to all the different carriers in the workplace. It's not just the ones we support. It's everybody.
Right, it's everybody.
It's a lot of fun. And in the meantime, be safe. Make good decisions.
Don't leave money on the table.
And keep those wheels a turning.
Good night.